Former President Donald Trump is now trying to defend his dinner with far-right Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes. Now, in a post on Truth Social, following media reports of the meeting that happened last Tuesday, where Kanye West, or Ye, was invited to the White House. I'm sorry, not White House. Invited to Mar-a-Lago by former President Donald Trump. In order to have a little bit of a conversation, he decided to bring Fuentes with him. And apparently they had a fantastic time. It was a great time. They loved it. It was great. Except for later on when apparently Donald Trump allegedly screamed at Kanye. Whatever. Anyway, here's what he said on Truth Social. This is Trump. Let me show you this. Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, asking me, I'm sorry, right, we have the, nope, got the right one. But apparently we're not on that yet. He said this on Truth Social. Kanye West very much wanted to visit Mar-a-Lago. Our dinner meeting was intended to be Kanye and me only, but he arrived with a guest whom I had never met and knew nothing about. He said that the meeting was intended for him to provide West with very much needed advice. I told him he should definitely not run for president. Any voters you may have should vote for Trump. Anyway, we got along great. He expressed no anti-Semitism. Okay. I love how he had to point that out. By the way, he was there, but he expressed zero anti-Semitism. None. Not even 1%. Oh, that's great. That's an accomplishment to point out. Really? Is that a thing to be touting? By the way, I had a dinner with a guy, and there was absolutely zero racism. Isn't that amazing? Wait, why? Is that like a weird flex? Why do we got to point that out? That's weird. That's definitely not a normal thing. Okay. That said, he said, I appreciated all the nice things he said to me. Said about me on Tucker Carlson. And there's that. Why wouldn't I agree to meet? Also, I didn't know Nick Fuentes. I didn't know him. I thought he was there to bring me my coffee. I thought he was a coffee boy for Kanye. And but I didn't know him. I didn't know who he was. I love how every time there's a controversial figure that meets with Donald Trump, he comes out later and he's like, I didn't know who that was. Who is that guy? Who is that person? I have no idea. I've never met him before. Don't know him. Never even heard of him. I've just been hiding out in the bunker the whole time. No idea. Oh, you're saying this guy was a white nationalist? Well, I had no idea. I didn't know those people in Charlottesville that were, chanting the Jews were not replaced. I didn't know that they were white nationalists. I didn't know that they were neo-Nazis. They were chanting, they're just chanting blood and soil. But there was good people on both sides, I hear. Really? And it's funny because usually when he said that, because it's not the first time he's used that defense, it'll come out later, it'll come out later that there are like selfies of them together. I don't know. Look, I don't think that, to be fair, Nick Fuentes has met Donald Trump before. I don't think this is the, I don't think they've had any other meetings before this. And I think, Fuentes was probably like weirdly starstruck. Oh my God, I get to meet the former president of the United States. Oh my God, I get to go to Mar-a-Lago. All right, but it is funny though. So anyway, yeah, he goes to Mar-a-Lago. West brings Fuentes, as I said. And then West apparently asked Trump to be his running mate. Because there's another, what? Yay 2024 fake run. And I think that's what it is. Just like the one in 2020. It's not a real run. Last time he didn't file paperwork. He's going to file paperwork this time? No. I don't believe it. Or I should say, I'll believe it when I see it. That said, apparently that caused Trump to scream at him. Hilarious. Then he puts out this tweet, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. That said, Ye, who said that Trump was really impressed with Nick Fuentes, and that Trump had made derogatory remarks about his ex-wife. Of course, they had to take some digs at Kim Kardashian. But let's be fair. I'm not a big fan of Kim Kardashian myself personally. I can't stand the reality show and like the super rich lifestyle and that's really my issue with her. Although I do give and I have given her some credit for some really good work on behalf of people who were wrongly imprisoned. I think that some of the pardons and that she had been able to convince Donald Trump to do were actually really good things. And so, credit where credit is due, even though, as I said before, she's not exactly my favorite person. That said, going off and doing unhinged comments about her is ridiculous. Derogatory remarks, like, who cares? Like, why are you going after Ye's ex-wife? Especially with all the weirdo stuff that he has said about her and that relationship. It doesn't make any sense. And again, that's also where some of his anti-Semitic comments coming from. Weird. But that's okay. Like I said, that was on. That was right afterwards. Okay. So then we go here to Saturday. Another post on Truth Social. Take a look. So I help a seriously troubled man. You're right. Troubled. Who just happens to be black. But do you want like points? Is that like anti-racism points? Is that what this is? It's like there's a counter or something that every time you do something nice for a black person, that takes it. It's like, oh, you get plus 2 black points. Here you go. That you're only negative 5,700 in the hole, but those extra 2 points might help. So I help a seriously troubled man who just happens to be black. Yay, Kanye West, who has been decimated in his business and virtually everything else. And that's because of anti-Semitism. And who has always been good to me by allowing his request for a meeting at Mar-a-Lago alone, but it wasn't alone, so that I can give him very much needed advice. He shows up with 3 people, 2 of which I didn't know. The other political person who I haven't seen in years. I told him don't run for office. A total waste of time. Can't win. Fake news. Went crazy. You know why the news went crazy? Because it's a white nationalist. Now, the other 2 who went to the meeting, I actually forgot their names. These are just, one's like a former person that worked on his campaign, and I forget the other person. They're not really important, but no, I don't think it's, I didn't see Milo Yiannopoulos there. I know some of you were asking. Alone besides the other people. It's true. But like, okay. I love what he said about going back to Fuentes, though. He emphasized he had no idea who Fuentes was. None. I don't know this guy. But then in another post, he said, or according to a source there, he told Fuentes, this guy gets me. And then he was very impressed, this according to Ye. Then he's also like, I didn't know the guy, though. I don't know who that guy is. Had no idea. He could have been Ye's coffee boy for all we know. I don't know. Well, it's funny because Trump should know him because Trump's friends know him. I mean, the Jason Miller, who was a former Trump staffer, runs Getter, personally banned Nick Fuentes from the platform. Knows who he is. There's a reason that he was banned. Okay, maybe he's just not good friends with Jason Miller, to be fair. What about Marjorie Greene? What about Paul Gosar? Who both happened to speak at a white supremacist conference organized by Fuentes earlier this year. We also know that Trump watches cable news. You know he does. I know. He's always saying, oh, I don't watch him. I don't watch CNN, failing. And then had admitted that he was like watching CNN because he directly responds to something someone said on CNN. He watches cable news religiously. He had an entire block of time when he was in the White House dedicated to tweeting and watching cable news. Executive time. Anybody remember executive time? I want executive time. That'd be great. Take like a 6-hour block out of your work day to go and do whatever the hell you want. Watch TV. Oh, wonderful. Executive time. That's what he had. So, of course, he still probably takes executive time because he doesn't have a job. Not president anymore. So, of course, he watches TV. And so Nick Fuentes has been reported about on TV. He's had to have seen him before. But again, to say he doesn't know who Fuentes is, come on. And by the way, Fuentes himself kind of alluded to the fact that's not entirely true. He said, quote, I don't think he knew that I was me at the dinner, at least initially. Interesting. Let's put it that way. I don't know if I'm going to say he didn't know me. I'm not sure about that. That's a really weird and cryptic thing to say. I don't know if he doesn't know me. I mean, I think he does, but I'm not going to say that he does, definitely. Maybe he knows of me. Perhaps my reputation has preceded me. But look, it could be the fact that he's just an incredibly cocky, 20-something who's a white nationalist. Or, maybe he thinks the circle that he runs with extends all the way up to Donald Trump. Again, he did get invited with Ye. So, look, to say that he doesn't have friends in high places, obviously he seems to. But anyway, you can believe Nick Fuentes, you can believe Donald Trump. Either way, you'd be having to believe one of two awful people. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Because when it comes to down to is the response. So the response from Trump, in all of his defenses, he still avoids actually calling out Fuentes' terrible belief system. And that's the real problem here. Fuentes is a white nationalist. He's an authoritarian. He is a racist. He is a huge anti-Semite. He has called for violence against people, against the so-called, globalists, right? Which, again, are just a code word for the Jews. And so, yeah, that's really telling that it doesn't say anything wrong about those beliefs, that he doesn't call that out, instead trying to distract the conversation, and make it about how I was helping a very troubled man, and I was telling him not to run for president, and then fake news, all while, he was whining and dining a well-known white nationalist. And again, he wasn't sorry about it. Now, imagine the scandal, by the way, if a Democrat had a dinner with a Black Panther. Look, I actually remember 2011 when Obama was in office. And he had Common, the rapper, come over to the White House and do a little performance. Do you remember that? Remember how much the right wing flipped out? Well, let me give you the reminder, just in case you weren't paying attention back then, because it was 2011, or if you need a little bit of a refresher, because it was some time ago. During an appearance on Fox News, Sarah Palin, remember her? Here's what she said about Common going to the White House. Well, the judgment is just so lacking of class and decency, and all that's good about America with an invite like this. They're just inviting someone like me or someone else to ask, come on, Barack Obama, who are you palling around with now? Oh, God. Don't you know? Here's Karl Rove. He said, yes, let's invite a misogynist to the White House, a guy who's called for violence against police officers and called for the killing of the former president of the United States, George W. Bush. This guy is a thug. And why are they inviting him to poetry night at the White House? And why they are inviting him to poetry night at the White House speaks volumes about President Obama and this White House staff, who was asleep at the vetting desk. Obama. Wow. That was the flip out from the right wing about Common going to the White House. Nick Fuentes is a literal white nationalist who has urged his audience to kill the globalists. Now, again, Trump isn't in the White House. Thank goodness. For now, at least. But wow. And Trump's like, I don't know. This guy, I don't really know him. And where's the rest of, the Republican Party? Now, to be fair, there are some in the Republican Party that have called this out. But as I'm going to tell you, it's really coming from the people who are already against Donald Trump and the establishment. In fact, here you have former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie telling the New York Times on Friday that Trump's dinner makes him an untenable candidate for president. He said, this is just another example of an awful lack of judgment from Donald Trump. Said Christie, who may make his own run for the presidency. And I think that's really, really key. Yeah, if you're going to run against Donald Trump in the Republican primary, at this point, he's trying to capitalize on anti-Trump sentiment within the party. Well, good luck on that, because again, I don't know if the voters are going to be with you on that. Donors certainly are. The establishment certainly is. And Chris Christie, of course, is the establishment. And so, there's another. Matt Brooks, chief executive of the Republican Jewish Coalition. So I think you can see why he would speak up. He issued a statement, but did so without naming Trump, saying, we strongly condemn the virulent anti-Semitism of Kanye West and Nick Fuentes, and call on all political leaders to reject their messages of hate and refuse to meet with them. This is after they met with Trump. The Republican Jewish Coalition also retweeted a message from former U.S. Ambassador to Israel David M. Friedman, telling Trump his meeting with both the anti-Semitic Ye and Fuentes was unacceptable. But what we're seeing here is, except for people who are politically moving against Donald Trump, and of course, ones who are most impacted by anti-Semitism, which would be Republican Jewish Coalition, you don't see a lot of people calling this out on the Republican side. And if they are, they still avoid naming Trump. Cowards. Say his name. Call him out. Oh, but you're afraid to do so. Why would you be afraid to do so? Oh, right. Because turns out you think that you either believe that a lot of the people in the party, that most of the voters are going to reject you for, shaming Donald Trump, naming him and saying, how dare you hang out with white supremacists and, people who are anti-Semitic. Either you believe that you're going to be attacked for that by the base, or you're going to get attacked by the base for doing that. One is again, I don't know. I'm just afraid that it could get a bad reaction, so I don't dare to do it. And the other is it's much more meaningful because I know that I'm going to get a bad reaction because I know our base is racist and I know our base is anti-Semitic, and that they believe all these things. So the distinction there is pretty important, I believe.